Since the mid-1990s, organizations have experimented with more people-centered, brain-friendly workspaces. Places more suited to a knowledge economy, the network society we live in, where people and how they work together matter. In some organizations, they're called innovation labs or mind labs or academies. We call them future centers because they are workplaces of the future and places for thinking about the future. Future centers are comfortable and stimulating settings, collaborative working environments, foresight-enabling workspaces, collective learning labs, solution-finding environments, dedicated spaces, people spaces. Strange as it seems, in our work we often feel we lack permission to do certain things. Dedicated spaces within future centers put us in a certain state of mind. Simply because there's a kitchen, a big table, comfortable chairs, we feel we have psychological permission to relax and slow down. This is a journey to discover what they do, how they work, and why they work. It's a journey of discovery to places where the future begins. In the mid-1990s, in Sweden, people at the Skandia Assurance Group had a vision of the human potential to find solutions to all problems through intelligence, intellectual capital, and innovation. A vision of people as central to the wealth of organizations and to well-being and renewal in society. With the knowledge that the spaces and their environment where people work and think have an enormous influence on the quality of their ideas, their work, and their lives, Skandia created a center to prototype the workspace of the future. They called it a future center.
Skandia Future Center was based on the idea of experiential knowledge exploration, which is actually about being on that kind of edge between the past and the future, and that is also called the present. And you know, the time frame for the present is roughly between 12 and 14 seconds. So regardless whether you want it or not, you are actually very soon in the future.
Skandia Future Center is a comfortable place, far from corporate headquarters. A good place to come and meet colleagues, share a meal during work sessions, and work together in unusual, even extraordinary working environments. Skandia brought the brains of the organization and brains of the world to think together. This future center, its ideas and working methods, influenced many initiatives in Scandinavia and other European countries.
The challenge of the future is to prototype continuously, to be on the edge and search for these kinds of reduced gap between the market clock, the individual clock, and the organizational clock.
What do the other future centers look like, and how do they work? At Denmark's Ministry of Economic and Business Affairs, MindLab is a physical workspace, but it's also a mental and emotional environment. MindLab creates a culture which encourages people to cross borders.
I would say it's a culture that recognizes the need for civil servants to be more innovative, to be more creative in their way of thinking, to allow ourselves to think and to do things in different ways. I like very much the idea of talking to people's potential. And I think that's very much what MindLab has generated in the ministry.
Britain's Department of Trade and Industry provides a facilitated environment for working on a broad range of policy issues that need a new perspective or an innovative approach. So what's special about Future Focus?
At first glance, when people come into Future Focus, they say it's a very high-tech experience. It's like walking onto the set of Star Trek or maybe to be more current in UK Doctor Who. And it's certainly true, there is a lot of technology in the place. And indeed the environment itself was initially established to be a different sort of environment. And when you walk in, it's not like walking into the normal DTI office space. You come in and you leave that world behind you. You come into a different sort of environment that is quite blatantly futuristic. Having said that, the key to what we do is actually the people that work there. It's the understanding the needs of the group before they come in here, the facilitator being able to have a rapport with the group that are in the room and be able to respond to their needs and direct them and arrive at the objectives set. The facility, the technology, the software we use, the scenarios, the sort of films we might show in the theatre, are there as really a backdrop to that. They're there to support the facilitation process. So really it's all about the facilitator and the group supported by the technology and the environment.
The Future Centre of the Dutch Tax and Customs Administration sees itself as a ship, which, now and then, needs time in the shipyard, for necessary repairs, for refreshing the crew, realigning the instruments, and renewing perspectives on how to deal with the central issues of its work. Personnel can work in a dedicated house, with many surprising workspaces. The Academy of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Employment in The Hague uses group decision technology and other facilitated meeting spaces to accelerate work on policy questions and joint projects, bringing the evolution of societal issues to life. Here, under the starry skies of the universe, the sky is not the limit. In Denmark, north of Copenhagen, Momentum was established as a house for collaboration, a reflection oasis to serve the region's business community.
Momentum is fundamentally a networking organization and a way of showing that is built into the house by being very open. We have large windows and we are lying in a very beautiful area with a lot of nature. And because innovation has to be a natural thing, then nature, it is flowing in and we are floating out, so to speak. The house is floating out of the windows and out of the door, and the nature is flowing in. So that means that we are a very open house. We are not a closed entity, but we are most of all an entity which is trying to make connections, networks, and so on in the region. So the house, it's showing that by the way it is built.
What does an 18th century castle have to do with the future? Castle Groeneveld houses the Netherlands National Centre for Landscape and Forest. Here, past, present and future are effectively linked by activities for 3 generations who visit the building and gardens. It strives to enrich the connections between the policy-making agenda, the issues that matter to people, and education about the green environment, by carrying out projects in a setting where nature and art are always present. The Dutch Department of Public Works and Water Management has set up a prototype future centre. It's a hub for innovation, a meeting place for department personnel and their stakeholders in society. A centre for creative and constructive thinking about traffic and transportation, highways and waterways, and department projects dealing with the physical infrastructure of the Netherlands. From the late 1990s, Britain's Royal Mail has used its Innovation Lab for developing new ideas. There are different spaces for different phases of the creative process, a harmonious flow of activities from zone to zone.
I think if you're looking for just the most important factors to make a successful innovation lab, I think the first one is to deal with these sorts of hygiene factors which just remove the barriers and the blocks to people being able to collaborate successfully. So the fact that you can come and write on all the walls, that you can reconfigure the desks, that you have easy access to the internet all the time, those sorts of things make life much easier. So there's a minimum threshold that they need to be able to reach. The other thing is nothing to do with the physical space at all, and that is to make sure that the people who are facilitating really know what they're doing, because the quality of the facilitation can absolutely make or break an event.
The country house is one of those special workplaces where Dutch civil servants can get away from it all, right in the centre of busy The Hague. It's a joint venture of 4 ministries, a future centre whose aim is to enhance the creativity and innovative capacity of civil servants working in national government. It's a safe haven for working in a different way on issues that are important for government. People always work hard here, and they achieve surprising results. But the fun factor remains important.
Als ik denk aan het buitenhuis of ik denk aan future
The
centers,
first thing that comes to mind when I think of the country house or future centres is excitement, the unknown, because you do not know for certain what you will take home at the end of the day. In my opinion, that's exactly why we should welcome the country house and other future centres with an open heart. Something might happen there which you don't expect beforehand, which may very likely add value to your work. So, from that point of view, go for it.
Dus om die reden, zoek het op.
A future centre is, in fact, a sanctuary for thinking. I always say it's a sort of playground, but you are not allowed to play forever. A certain commitment is necessary. The work there is supposed to lead to certain results. Maybe this doesn't always succeed, but people working on a theme or a specific problem must have the intention to come up with a creative solution. They need to feel the importance of working towards a realistic solution. Of course, we can't expect to do all our work in future centres. I do think future centres are supportive, and it wouldn't surprise me, looking into the future, that our daily working environments will feature elements which future centres also have. You can already see this in modern office design. There are more informal spaces in which you can work on timely matters in different ways, or where you work together with others in a different way. On this trip, we've learnt a great deal about innovation, workspace, thinking about places called future centres and the importance of people. People passionately engaged in their work, having fun, working hard, solving problems, doing the things that matter. On this journey, we've seen how it is possible to organise work and work processes in ways that challenge the conventional, to feed the spirit and make use of the innovative potential of people and organisations, to create the future now.